2025 meeting of the Pima County Election Integrity Commission. If you would please stand if you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Commissioner Cinnamon.
Present.
Commissioner Delarge. Commissioner Mace. District 4 is vacant. District 5 is vacant. Commissioner Stewart.
Here.
Commissioner Wicks.
Here.
Commissioner Strabela.
Here.
Commissioner Smith. And Assistant Director Jeremy. Okay, I believe we do have a quorum. And seeing no public in the room, I'm going to assume there's nobody that wants to address the commission. Anybody have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the meeting summary as presented? Hearing none, they stand approved as presented. Agenda items. Inter-county tabulation verification. This is one of those ideas that came to mind while you're sitting around trying to waste time. And I don't know that it's possible, legal, or feasible, but trying to establish some kind of confidence in the voting process behind trying to do 200,000 hand-counted ballots for 60 races at one time and finish before the next election 2 years hence is a bit of a challenge. But I don't know if we could pick a batch or two of ballots and transport them securely to either Maricopa or Pinal County, since those are the other two large counties, and have them tabulate our ballots on their instrumentation, and we could do the same for them, just to verify the equipment. Maricopa County would, in my opinion, be extremely beneficial since their equipment is different than ours. They use Dominion systems, we use ES&S. Pinal is an ES&S county as well, but it's just, I don't know whether the Secretary of State would allow something like that, whether the other counties would be willing to work with us on something like that, but it's, to find somebody that's dedicated enough to find a way to get into our system here, and then unbeknownst to them, what batches, what boxes, what anything would be retabulated, but to take it to a completely different county. And I understand it would require some work on the part of the elections department because you'd have to reprogram the equipment to handle our ballots as opposed to theirs. I don't know whether the Dominion equipment in Maricopa County would even tabulate ES&S that you designed ballots, but it's just something else that you can look at and say, we got these results here, our hand count audit verified those results, and in addition to that, we actually sent a batch or 2 or 3 or 10, however many, to another county using totally different equipment to tabulate those ballots as well, and they matched what we were doing. I mean, other than just telling people, we know what we're doing, and the equipment and the process is sound. Thoughts?
I generally like the idea. I see more technical challenges in it than, using Breakey's system. But it at least maintains the privacy and control requirements that other people expressed concerns about. But I
Chairman
see,
Bickle?
Commissioner
This
Strabel.
is Commissioner Strabel. As an alternative, would we want to, as kind of part of the L&A process, use the Pima County L&A deck from the Elections Department and take that up to Maricopa County and tabulate it? Then it wouldn't be compromising any voter's privacy, but it would confirm that they are getting the same results with a different set of equipment.
Certainly an option. I don't know that it's, and I understand what you're saying as far as privacy and confidentiality is concerned, but the argument could be made that somebody manipulated the LNA deck because it's not transported securely. We could use, rather than use the Secretary of State's LNA deck, use the Republican Party and the Democratic Party and either the Greens or the Libertarians, if they do an LNA deck, take those LNA decks and move them back and forth. That certainly I would assume that the Republicans would agree that their deck was held in a secure fashion, and I would expect any of the other political parties to take the same position. Not something that had crossed my mind, but certainly something that I think is doable. And
What's LNA deck?
logic and accuracy. That's done on it's done on the equipment by the Secretary of State before and after the election, and all of the political parties have the option to create their own LNA deck and run it through the system.
Oh, for audit.
So they're comfortable with the fact that this is what we put together, and it's what we got out of the machines, and we've verified our numbers to our satisfaction. So taking that and sending that up to Maricopa County. Now, the biggest challenge, I think, might be getting Maricopa County to buy into the process as well. Since the recorder up there is having significant fights with the Board of Supervisors up there right now over who has the authority to do what. But,
I have a comment. This is the first I've heard of that, and
heard of,
your proposal.
because that's the first time, yeah.
Right. So I'm just saying I haven't had time to really talk about the pluses and minuses, but I'm concerned that it can be construed as not having confidence in our system, which we spend so much time in putting together processes to assure its accuracy. So it's just adding another element of lack of confidence. We need to check it in other ways, and what group is asking for questioning the accuracy of the current system. And I think we discussed this when we were considering the Reiki audit. I am concerned never be satisfied. So I am concerned that it will present itself as lack of confidence, that we need another assurance. But I haven't heard all the sides.
Yeah, I agree. You've got a system in place that you put another system in place and another system in place. When do you decide that you just say it works or it doesn't work? And truthfully, there are people out there that it doesn't matter what you do, they're not going to trust the system. That's no argument for me on that one.
And I would just add that it's not a matter of someone saying it works. And someone saying it doesn't work. There's a lot of thought and technology involved making sure it works. It's not just we're saying it works.
Yeah. But looking at people that think the solution to the problem is to do a hand count audit. To do a hand count. Don't even use tabulating equipment.
Is that under serious consideration by any?
It's not under early voting, and like you're talking about eliminating early voting and tabulation equipment that, they've decided the smartest thing to do is to have people actually look at every ballot that's cast. And it's fine if you're talking about 10,000 ballots with one race, but when you've got 4.5 million ballots and several hundred races amongst all of the ballots that are being tabulated.
I have a suggestion. Get representatives from the groups who are serious about the hand count and the accuracy of a hand count and see how that works. Ballot and see how that works. Hand counting is completely inaccurate. I always use the example of, would you want your cashier at the grocery store to tabulate the prices of your groceries instead of the scanner? And it's really, sorry, that's not a good one. That is an accurate analogy, is to have a person rather than a machine having to process so much information. I participated in the audit years ago, and just having to count one race on a ballot, it took sometimes, and just 200 ballots was in the it took 3 or 4 times. So the handshake itself is good. What unrealistic it might sound good. So, but I don't know how this would work. But get a group of representatives who are in favor of the hand count, and let them experience what that would be like.
But you have to vet who those people were.
Well, it wouldn't be a real ballot. It would be some manufactured stuff, and say, okay, let's see how that really works. Maybe that will convince them it's not a reasonable approach.
And I understand what you're saying. Going back to the name of the commission, and how do you establish that we've got integrity in our electoral process, other than to say we've got some of the best equipment out there? And for those of you that have been around long enough to listen to all of the people during call to the public talk about the fact that the Election Assistance Commission in Washington is improperly constituted, and the certification of the equipment is non-existent, and it's we either sit here and say, okay, we've got elections that have integrity, or we keep looking for ways to prove to people that a certain amount of integrity in the elections process.
Well,
I don't know what the answer is. You get to the point after a while where we meet on a regular basis, and what we're discussing today is what we discussed 10 years ago when I started on this commission. And the people that didn't believe it then don't believe it now, and I don't know that 10 years from now they're going to believe it either. So it's do we ever have a sense of finality, or do we just keep talking about the same old stuff month after month after month?
I've been on the commission, 12 months, and there hasn't been anybody here from the public questioning integrity of the election. So,
I'm surprised they haven't been back, but yeah. things kind of slowed down after the Breaky Bennett presentation. But just an idea, and we can put it back on the agenda again next month, and after having had time to look at it, study it, talk about it, think about it.
I guess I would say, are we creating more problems or solving?
Well, so as a libertarian, I trust none of you. Having seen the 20th century, I don't trust government. Having seen the 21st century so far, I don't trust government. But largely, I trust what we're doing in elections. I can imagine that there are other holes that we haven't discovered yet. I can imagine that there are areas that we think we do things pretty well, that if we do a deep dive in them, we'll go, there's a hole there that we need to patch. And, you know, I think the idea of hand counting is, you know, absolutely, I can see the attractiveness of it, but anybody who's been to a county committee meeting of a political party, even as small as the Libertarian Party, when we go around to counting ballots for state committeemen, it is an absolute pain in the butt to do it by hand. And I always find it embarrassing that we don't have, you know, tubes with coins that you can drop in or something like that. We just count them by hand, and it takes an hour or so. So the idea of tabulating them in a different county as opposed to a hand count, I think makes a lot of sense.
And I would say not as opposed to a hand count. I still think, because the hand count audit is required by statute. We can't eliminate the hand count audit. This is just another step in the process to say, yes, and to me, what the hand count does is, and it's understanding the equipment. The ES&S 850s don't tabulate the ballot. They tabulate the ballot image. When you do the hand count audit, you're physically looking at the ballot and comparing it to what the machine got, tabulating the ballot images. So you're actually looking at.
No, I understand that, and I like that, and I want to retain that.
Yeah, the integrity of the paper ballot is validated, even though we're not actually counting the paper ballot with the tabulator. They're tabulating the ballot images. To turn around and take the paper ballots again and put them on a different set of equipment in a different county, unbeknownst to anybody before it actually happens, and to come up with the same numbers again, it's like, okay, what more do you want us to do? You know, we've counted them, we've hand verified this, and we've taken them to another set of equipment, and we've gotten the same numbers 3 different ways in 3 different times. This is a secure process. Commissioner Cinnamon.
So you asked, you put it very clearly. What else do you want us to do? And the answer is going to be hand count. What else do you want us to do after you do this, which is not an easy process to implement? They're going to say hand count.
Well, and I think if you want something to again assume that a hand count is not feasible, the hand count of all of the counties is required by statute. And I don't think it's this bad anymore, but the first time when I was on the vote count verification committee, 6 of the 15 counties didn't do the state mandated hand count because they couldn't get political party participation.
Well, I'm not referring to the hand count that we do
I
of a
know,
sample.
you're-
I'm saying the complete hand count, because that's what they're asking. You're trying to appease the people who, I guess the people, I don't know who, the group, the legislators, who are saying we need a complete hand count for to trust the results, and you're thinking that this is going to answer that, solve that problem, and get rid of that question, and I'm saying, you put it, what else do you want us to do? A complete hand count.
No,
That's
I'm-
not gonna satisfy, if that's what the only solution that they will accept.
You're right. I agree with that. I am not trying to appease the hand counters with this process. I'm just looking for another piece to put in the puzzle that further strengthens the position that the election process that we have in Pima County is safe, secure, and correct. I don't care who questions it. It's
So you have doubts?
No, I don't have doubts. But the fact that I don't have doubts doesn't mean I'm going to keep anybody else from having doubts. And the fact that I sit here and say, yeah, they're safe, secure, and they're correct, was the mail issue with the recorder's office. But anyway, you know, and I don't want to deviate from the agenda item, but if we look at the problems that we've had getting the right ballots in the hands of the right voters, not once, not twice, but 3 times since I've been on this commission, the perception is, and you're dealing with perception more than you're dealing with reality. We can't, how can we have secure elections if we're not ensuring that the ballots are being sent to the right voters?
So that's a good question. This is a tabulation issue,
Right.
totally separate. So going back to the tabulation issue, I would request before we consider it, I would like to know what authority we have to do this with regard to policy set by the Secretary of State. So if we could find out if this is even feasible to do. If it's not, then it seems like not a good use of our time to debate the merits of it if it's not even something that could be implemented.
Okay, and I understand, which is why I said, I don't know if this is even legal or doable. I'm depending on the elections department to find out the answer to that question. But if we're not going to sit here and continuously evaluate the process and look at ways to verify it, then it's time to pack up our books, go home, and say, this committee no longer serves a purpose.
And
And maybe that's the point we've reached. But once you quit looking at it and once you take the oversight responsibility away, then everybody's going to say, nobody's looking at anything anymore.
yeah.
So how do we know that it's still correct? Commissioner Scott or Stewart?
You know, I remember, you know, first and foremost, why we even exist. And that's the RTA election from, you know, several years ago, where there were, you know, issues that ranged from, you know, outright malfeasance and improper handling of things, and we exist to make sure that that kind of stuff doesn't happen again. And I think by and large the commission has done a good job. Elections has done a good job, but our job is to make sure that all the holes are plugged, including the ones we don't know about. You know, and that means always questioning and always trying to think of things that we can do to improve it. And you know, maybe as a suggestion for next time, we ask people to come back with, you know, a list of where they think the holes might be, or that areas that they're still not satisfied with, and you know, we can discuss those a little bit and decide, no, we cleaned that up quite a while ago, and if you've been paying attention or you'd been on the commission, you would have seen that this was taken care of here, and here, and other ones, they go Yeah, maybe. And then, you know, in one of my jobs as an engineer, I sometimes get put in a situation where I have to ask 100 stupid questions and get 99 dirty looks, and then one slap on the forehead where somebody realizes that they forgot something fundamental, you know? So that's part of the job. We, you know, make our 100 stupid questions, and we, you know, make our money on the one slap on the forehead.
Kind of like the pilot that does the walk around on the plane every time before he takes off.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've beat this horse to death this morning, but certainly some suggestions moving forward. Future agenda items. I do want to talk about the mail problem with the recorder's office, assuming they're here the next time. And it's not a gotcha thing, it's a time with the press that problem got this time in the Democratic primary. I think it's something that merits discussion as to how we change the perception of the Postal Service and the capacity of us to get the right ballots in the right place at the right time. October 17th, where does that fall in the multitude of elections that we're in the process of trying to put together?
So it would be, we should have everything wrapped up for the September election.
Before then?
We would just be starting, or we'll be processing for November, so.
But it's doable
It's
having a
doable.
meeting?
It's
Okay.
doable, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Scott, Stewart.
On
I'll get it right one of these
next
times.
agenda items, I would request that, you know, we come back with a list of where we think the holes might still be.
Fine. We'll figure out how to phrase that.
Yes.
But Vanessa, you got that one? The list of holes that we can take a potential look at on next future agenda items? Or I don't know that we need to phrase it as the full list of holes, but vulnerabilities as far as election security is concerned. And I know that Commissioner Strable has had some in the past. I look forward to seeing and discussing those going forward. And anybody that comes up with any other future agenda items, please let Vanessa know so we get them on the agenda. We almost made it to 30 minutes. I promised you 15. Anything else to come before this body? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, everybody.